All right, so Amazon's next big thing is out, but the question is, did it make me fall out of my seat with excitement? I'm gonna kill myself, if you'll excuse me. Now, I'm somebody that has never played any of the Fallout games. I've seen like images and videos throughout my life just because, it's a popular franchise. I've obviously seen the Pit Boy, the guy, the character. I've obviously seen that guy around. But yeah, I've just never really played any of the games or really acquainted myself to what exactly it is. But I started to get pretty hyped for this series when the trailers came out because they were really cool. So I was like, all right, I'll definitely be checking that out. So I've now seen the first episode and I'm really digging it so far. So the first thing I want to note is that I really appreciate the way that this show is structured. So it looks like we're going to be dealing with 3 protagonists in this series. We have the Ghoul, Lucy, and Maximus. And what I really like about that is it seems like a really creative way of making the show feel kind of like an RPG without actually being an RPG. Because from what I understand about Fallout, you're kind of able to make choices in the world. And I could be wrong about this, but I think you're able to like join factions and stuff like that. And by making us follow 3 protagonists that are 3 very different characters and that have very different roles to play in the world of Fallout, I think what the intention is sort of trying to emulate that experience. Obviously, we're not able to make choices because it's a linear narrative, but we're able to see the world through the eyes of 3 different protagonists that are in very different areas in the world. I don't know if that was the intentionality here, but that's kind of what it felt like. But I mean, it's not like that's an abnormal structure for a TV show either, so I'm probably just looking into it way too hard. But yeah, so in this first episode, the world that they set up is really cool. As the title would suggest, the show is about fallout from what seems to be nuclear war. So I don't think they ever explicitly say, but judging by the way the world looks, it seems like the fallout would have happened around the 1940s or 1950s Cold War era situation, and nukes get dropped and the world is set into an apocalypse, basically. But the other interesting thing is that it's also very clearly not our Earth, because when you actually see like the city, the buildings are kind of like futuristic and there's like a robot character in it. It's not even really like trying to be like, what if society stopped in the 1940s? It's like the 1940s of this world was very different from our 1940s. And so because of that, they're able to do some other interesting things. So our character Lucy is a vault dweller. And so vault dwellers are a group of people that seemingly got held up in their fallout shelters, and their goal is to maintain American like civilization until the time is right for them to come out of their vaults and into the world and reestablish American society. It's a really neat idea. And so we see this like weird, like preserved Americana society where they're like projecting a farm, I guess, so that people don't forget what America is supposed to be like, where it creates like these really fun group of people that are clearly very naive and don't know what the post-apocalyptic world looks like outside of their vault. Then we get into Maximus. So Maximus is a part of this group of people called the Brotherhood of Steel, which they're basically like a religious cult, kind of, where they seem to like worship ancient technology. So like they feel like religious zealots, like they they feel like monks almost, but I don't think that they're attached to any like specific religion that we know. I think they literally just not even worship technology, but it's just like their mission to preserve technology or like find technology. Like I don't even think it's like a religious thing. And it's like interesting because they act like they're in like the Middle Ages because they have like knights, except like the knights are like these people in power armor. They even have squires. And that's kind of one of the things about our protagonist Maximus, is that he really wants to be like a squire because he wants to like get out into the world and he has his own motivations that I won't necessarily spoil. Yeah, and then we get into our third protagonist here, which is the Ghoul. So this guy is interesting because he was actually alive before the nuclear war happened. And I don't think I mentioned actually is that like the nuclear fallout happens and then there's like a time jump of 200 years later. And so our Ghoul character is a guy who was alive during the fallout, and they call him a mutant at some point. So he's just been alive this entire time, I guess. We don't get to see too much of him. He seems to be like a mercenary. And so I'm really interested to see more of his story. The characters in the world are terrified of him, so he seems to be like this really badass character. So he seems to be like a formidable character that I assume we're going to see fuck shit up in the show to come. But yeah, so my first impressions of Fallout are that I really enjoyed it. I think that, I'm not somebody that's played the game, so I think it's pretty safe for me to say that this is a really solid jumping in point. I was definitely able to follow everything. They did a great job of setting up the world. And yeah, I'd be definitely curious to hear from Fallout fans. What do you think about this? Are you guys like, they got everything wrong, this is different in the games, and blah 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 blah? Let me know all of your nerdy complaints or your nerdy praises. Maybe they absolutely nailed it. Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.